Everybody ready? Welcome everybody to the Oroville City Council meeting. We have just convened from closed session. Direction given, but no action taken. Will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Flags over here. Art, go ahead.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we've got a couple things going on this evening. We have some people that are going to be taking the oath of office, and then we actually have some new business presentations. So I'm going to come around and get that started. Testing. Awesome. All right. So do you guys want to do this all separately, or do you want to do it together? How would the audience like it? Okay. So we're going to take an oath of office, and the oath of office is very important. So when you read these words and you say them out loud, remember what they mean. So we have 3 people here this evening. What is your first name? Trevor? Chance? Danielle. And they are going to be part of the VIPs, the volunteers at the police department. So we appreciate everything that you're going to be doing for our community. And let's get started. So when you got one to read, I'm going to read it and you're going to repeat after me, okay? Oath of office. So this is the state of California, County of Butte, City of Oroville. The execution of this oath is required by Article 20, Section 3 of the Constitution of the State of California. There you go. Affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter for the City of Oroville, volunteers in police service. Subscribed and sworn, you don't need to say this, subscribed and sworn to before me this 18th day of September 2018. Congratulations to all 3 of you. Now, I know the chief wants to say something, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd like each one of you to come up to this microphone and go ahead and turn to the audience and state your name again, and then give us maybe a little bit of a background on yourself and the reasons why you wanted to do what you're doing. Would you mind? Okay, come on up.
My name is Trevor Spradlin. I have been wanting to be a police officer my whole life. I have other family that have been working as police officers or correctional officers. I work hard to get here. I work full-time job. I do this. I also go to school. I try to stay busy, help the community in any way I can. And I'm looking forward to work alongside the community to make the place better in general, and we'll see how it goes.
My name is Chance McBrayer. I've lived in Oroville almost my entire life. I've wanted to join the military since I was very young, and unfortunately I'm unable to do so as a physical disability bars me from joining. I am trying to become a police officer in the long term if they'll have me to serve my country and my state and my city and my community as much as possible, and lack of other ways to do so. That's pretty much my story.
Thank you. My name is Danielle Wilson, and again, I've also lived in Oroville my entire life. I am a future police officer. I am doing this in the meantime until I'm old enough to build experience and some connections in the community, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you out there one of these days. Thank you.
As the mayor hands those to you, I just want to take a moment and speak to each of you. You know who I am, but in case anybody doesn't, I'm the chief of police for the city of Oroville. As you guys enter into this service that you're wanting to do, I want you to look at the people that are sitting out here and recognize them. This is the community which you work for. This is your mayor. This is your city council. Never embarrass any of these people. Never embarrass yourself. Always do the right thing. The only person that's ever going to verify if you're doing the right thing is you. When you put your pillow on your head at night and you close your eyes, make sure that you can live with you. That badge that you have on does not give you special powers. It don't protect you from anything. It doesn't make you smarter, doesn't make you bigger, doesn't make you stronger. What it does is it demonstrates the confidence that this community has placed in you to give you that authority and gave you the right to exercise it as duly you should when the time is appropriate. Be kind to people. Treat people exactly the way that you would want to be treated, or even better, the way that you would want your mother or your children treated. It's, being kind isn't always being nice. It isn't always being weak. Being kind is being honest, telling the truth, and doing the right thing regardless of what other people think. So I want you to carry that with you. Recognize what you do, who you are. Your dream to be a police officer, it's attainable if that's what you want to do. Make sure you live your life in a way that you can obtain that dream and you don't get in your own way. But recognize these people out here. These are your people, and they are the ones putting their faith in you and trusting you, and they trust you with everything. So never betray them. Never betray this council. Never embarrass this mayor. With that said, I welcome each of you. Thank you. I appreciate your service to this community. These are all my friends, and I don't think I'm related to anybody here, but I don't know. I wasn't around all the time. That being said, treat them well. I mean, treat them just like I'm standing there watching. I mean, if there's ever a doubt in your mind, just, imagine I'm just right there over the shoulder looking, seeing what you're doing. So good luck. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's absolutely within your grasp. The VIPS program is a great program. It's a great program feeder to our MLEs, because this is where we find our local people. We find our local kids. I mean, I know you're young men and women, but to me, I'm going to look at you in a little bit different light because of where I'm at in my point in life. But this is where we find the people that are going to take care of us, that are going to do our law enforcement for us. So the VIPS program is a great program. Anybody wanting to join, we are looking for people that want to join the VIPS. We are, you can be anywhere from, I believe it's 18 clear on up to no limit. So if you're interested, please come down, volunteer. We'd love to have you there. There is some sort of work that everyone can do. You tell us what you would like the program to be, and we'll tailor it to try to fit what you can provide for us, because we do appreciate it. But anyway, thank you. We appreciate it, and good luck, guys. Thank God.
We also have some presentations this evening. Thank you all for coming. Presentations this evening, we have new business acknowledgments, and wondering if anybody from Big Bart's Barber Shop is here. Come on down. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the city of Oroville, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a little bit about yourself. But we also have a welcome to Oroville new business acknowledgement from the city of Oroville. Big Bart's Barber Shop, as a new business in Oroville, established April 25th, 2018. Welcome. All right.
I guess why I opened my business here in Oroville, because I used to always hear, oh, it's just Oroville. And I worked in Chico and Marysville and just trying to make everybody look good. You know what I mean? So thanks for the award.
The next one we have is a new business acknowledgement for Cafe 116. It's Cafe 116 here. Come on down. How are you this evening? Good. So once again, thank you for coming to Oroville, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a couple of things and tell us where you're located. Okay. Welcome to Oroville. It's a new business acknowledgement. The city of Oroville would like to welcome and acknowledge Cafe 116 as a new business to Oroville, established August 13th, 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you. So my grandmother and I own Super Subs as well. We're located at 116 Table Mountain Boulevard. Used to be another coffee shop that's closed. So we decided that we wanted to expand our business over to that Thermalito side of town and to serve all of the government employees that work in the area during the week for a nice place for them to get a coffee, something to eat. So yeah.
How's it working for you?
Good so far. We've had a really good response. So.
Awesome. So
yeah.
You've taken the old place and turned it into new.
Yeah, we gave it a little facelift and then brought our menu over. So,
awesome.
And Nana's soups. So yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next is the Tabletop Restaurant and Catering. Is there someone here for the tabletop? Okay. You guys know the routine by now, right? I'm going to read it and you're going to get to say something. Okay, so welcome to Oroville, another new business acknowledgement for our community, which I think is awesome. The city of Oroville would like to welcome and acknowledge the Tabletop Restaurant and Catering as a new business in Oroville, established April 14th, 2018.
So, I'd like to say thank you to the city for welcoming us, all the community. We've been receptive very well. Our story is way too long to tell you. But I'll tell you this, we've never had such a reception in all of our life. This is my 4th restaurant that I've done. This is her first. This is Pam, my fiance. My name is Rich. She is also my partner in this. And I've been in a lot of cities and we've never been welcomed and helped. And all the people who have pitched in their free time, their free labor, their experience, and really made things come alive for us in this town. The community is an amazing community. In fact, we come from Sacramento. We moved here in January. We go down to Sacramento now, and we can't wait to come back to Oroville. We're like, can't wait to get back out of this. So it's been an amazing adventure for us. And we want to thank everybody and the city of Oroville. Thank you. Yeah. 109 Table Mountain Boulevard. We are where the old Hofbrau was, where Table Mountain Tavern was. So we took that over, and Sandra. And so, yeah, we've met a lot of the people in this room here. So, yeah, it's been wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
If I could make a suggestion, Mayor, I would like to suggest that we give these type of awards also to people in the community who have done things for us that they're never acknowledged, that are never acknowledged, or they do not receive credit for. I think we should have a Citizen of the Month or Citizen of the Quarter, some way of rewarding people who do things for us and we never acknowledge them. So I would really like to bring that forward.
Okay, we'll see what staff we can assign to work on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. What an exciting evening that was. At this time, are you up here to do non-agenda stuff? Because we have non-agenda stuff.
I'm non-agenda tonight.
We have one
I don't
more.
have a card.
That feels good.
We just have one more presentation, Madam Mayor.
Okay, you go right ahead, Amy.
Great, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Amy Bergstrand, and I run the housing department here. I'm here tonight to give you an update on the Senior Heights Apartments, which is a senior community of 62 and older. We started this project all the way back in 2015. Thank you. With a grant application to the home program. We're working in partnership with Willow Partners Incorporated. They're the developer in this project. Like I said, in 2015, we applied for home funds and we were awarded $4.6 million. We also, as a city, approved in the same year an extra $660,000 from the Housing Program Fund. In 2016, in April, we received the award, and since then we have been trying to get state tax credits to apply to this to create the full funding. We were notified in April of this year that we were not able to get the state tax credits, so we requested through the state home program if we could reduce the original project, which was 52 units, down to 40 units. And that way the developer was able to redo the financing to make that work, and it was approved. So I'm here to give you an update on that. Now the apartment complex is going to be 40 units. Each of them will have a patio and a balcony. There's going to be a community room with a kitchen and 2 laundry rooms. It's going to be 2 buildings. The original design was 4 buildings. And it's expected to generate more than $500,000 in city fees. So I went through all that already, sorry. This is the unit mix for the apartment complex. The home program funds and all of the state tax credit funds have different rules that you have to use depending upon how much money and what funding source. And so what you see here is this is going to have 32 units that are 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. And the average square foot is 555 square feet. And there's also going to be a one bedroom manager unit. We're also going to have 7 2-bedroom units with 1 bath. And that average square footage is 32 square feet. The numbers below reflect the income range of the applicants or the people who are going to be eligible to live there. This is a project that is going to be 30% to 50% of area median income. We're going to have 15 1-bedroom units that are 45% of area median income, and so with their rent minus utilities is going to be about $451. We'll have 15 with the 50% of area median income, and that'll be about $508. And then you'll see 1 unit of 30% AMI. And this unit is here because of the $660,000 loan that the Housing Program Fund is supplying. That is making it more affordable. And that is a requirement that we have with SB 341 that is attached to those Housing Program Funds. As far as the two-bedroom units, we'll have 3 in the 45% AMI and 5 in the 50% AMI. This is the most current scheme, a project plan that was submitted to the building official. It's going to be 3 stories. and it's located on the corner of Executive Parkway and Hillview Ridge. So right above the hospital where the other Hillview Ridge apartments complexes are.
Executive Parkway, and what is the other street?
Hillview Ridge. The line that looks kind of like a river there, that is actually Hillview Ridge, and that's how it looks up on the hill. And these are the units. Some of them they look, and then they're on top. They change a little bit depending upon where they are and what building they're in. So this is the timeline that it's all projected based on the new design. We're hoping to get construction documents completed by the end of October of, actually that should be 2018, I'm sorry. We're hoping to close financing in January of 2019. We're supposed to start construction mid-March, and we'll be looking to accept applications in January of 2020 and complete construction in February of 2020. And then I just wanted to show a couple examples of other senior properties that Willow Partners has developed. This is not exactly what ours will look like, but I just show you a few of them. And this one's Villa Palomona, and they are in Central California and also in Southern California. Villa Escondido, the Plaza City Apartments, Garden Grove, and that's all I have for you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Great
Amy.
job, Amy. And we're happy to see this happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, they've changed our agenda on us, so it's requests to address the council. So now we have non-agenda items. You all know the new rules, so I'm going to call the first person is John Miller George.
I signed up for a business license in Oroville this week. And I have that gentleman there to thank for, he actually kind of did above and beyond the call of duty. He went back and printed out some of the rules and regs for me, and I had already gone off planning on coming back, and when I came back, he had gone on to do business, and I had the information I needed. So I'm terrible on names,
Gary?
but I want to say thanks. One of the reasons I got in the computer business was once I got the name in there or date in there, I never had to remember. Now I like to take pictures with the names. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the getting on the agenda, which might sound kind of a familiar refrain. I talked about this in non-agenda item 2 weeks ago, and I said that one of the ideas that I'm trying to promote is one where an entity that implemented it made $500,000 in 1 week. However, I was wrong. They made $500,000 in 1 hour of 1 week. I don't know how to dangle any bigger carrot than I'm trying to dangle now. And I'd sure like to get on the agenda to like line it up, get permission to work with the city departments. You know, right now, can I walk in and talk to the lawyer? Probably not. Can I walk in and talk to the planning department? Probably not. So, like I say, it could be made easier to bring money into this city. And you have to ask yourself, what is it that Oroville has lots and lots and lots of? Well, sunshine and water. So how would y'all like to make some money off of that? I'm done.
I would like to
So-
clarify that he is welcome to come in and talk to staff at any point.
So, and I would clarify too that we both answered the email and said that we just don't end up having 20 or 30 or 40-minute presentations at the request. It typically would go through the staff first. And so there's Tom. And he answered your email and said you're more than welcome to contact him. And both, probably he and Chief Legrone, will sit down and discuss what it is that you're wanting to present. If it's on a Tuesday?
On a Tuesday,
So, but schedule it through them. Okay, thank you.
well, it's not every hour.
Bill Bynum and then Sherry Bunker.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Yes, Bill Bynum. Actually, I got on the non-agenda item because I've been here the past couple of months, and this gentleman, John Miller George, keeps requesting to be on the agenda, and I know it takes 2 council members to put something on the agenda, and I, for one, would really like to hear what he has in mind, and I don't know if you need to give him 20, 30, 40 minutes, but at least 10 minutes. I would say he's probably spent an hour just requesting to get on the agenda, and so I'm kind of intrigued, and I would like to hear, and I would like to think that the council's open to new ideas. So, thank you.
Thank you. I think we answered that. Sherry Bunker and then Bobby O'Reilly.
Good evening, Council, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. Per your request from the last meeting, I'm here to speak about Community Choice Aggregation, which is the CCA. I attended the meeting that they had here in Oroville. This is a program that was brought before the Council October 2017. It allows communities to purchase power with a choice of how clean the power is and at competitive prices while reinvesting revenues into projects and programs supporting local economy. By opting into the program, they are conservatively predicting a 2% decrease in your power bill initially. I believe rather than spending money, thousands of dollars, on the marijuana endeavor that will benefit a few citizens, our money would be better spent on a program that will benefit citizens that opt into the program. Many PG&E discounts that are already on the books will carry over. This would be a benefit to our community as a huge incentive to businesses to come into town. If we sit back and let this opportunity slide away, then it will be Chico and the unincorporated areas of Butte County that will benefit. Oroville, as the county seat, needs to stand up and take advantage of this opportunity. I strongly urge the council to bring this back for discussion and decision. For more information, you go to power.buttecounty.net. There's a survey that you can fill out that needs to be in by tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Bobby O'Reilly. And if there's anybody else that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item, now's the time to fill out your blue card. Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. So I have to agree with Ms. Del Rosario, Councilwoman Del Rosario. Oroville definitely needs to recognize citizens who go above and beyond the scope of just being a citizen in Oroville. I have created a Facebook page that is labeled Oroville Area Community Member of the Month, where the community members pick a community member. They nominate somebody who they choose to be a community member of the month. They list the things that they've done positive for the community, and then the community decides who they want as the community member of the month. I would have loved to have seen the city do that well before a citizen went and done it, but it's a start. Bart was our September community member of the month due to his going above and beyond with a customer he had in his business and made that customer feel extremely special and loved when they were getting bullied and harassed and so forth at school. So thank you, sir. Terry was our August Community Member of the Month for the effort that she puts into our community daily, hourly, every minute of every day. So she was our September Community Member of the Month, or excuse me, August. So anyhow, I would love to see the city implement something or join in forces or something, because it is absolutely extravagant to see the looks on the faces of community members when they are acknowledged for doing something extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Murphy. Something good to say about something, I think, right?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. I'm pleased to report the results. I don't have all the total numbers yet, but we just had the Feather River cleanup of participation. It was actually a statewide event, part of a statewide event. We had all the rivers, and the coastal cleanup day was all on the same day. Based on the number of individuals who signed in, we had over 200 people participate on Saturday, including Councilwoman Del Rosario. Thank you. A couple of our candidates were there as well, so it was a nice community representation. I know for sure down around the Veterans Memorial, about 10,000 pounds or 5 tons of debris and vegetation was removed. We don't have the weight from the 2 dumpsters that were located there. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to be down along that trail now. That whole area around the Green Bridge, it's night and day different. It's very pretty, very beautiful. You can actually see the river from the Veterans Memorial now, at least if you have the right height angle. And it was a blast. I mean, we had contributions, financial contributions. We had food and other items that were contributed. The T-shirts were given to us at a significant discount by our local T-shirt vendor. I want to thank the community for showing up to support it, and everybody had a great time from what I heard. I didn't hear any negative comments, so thank you for giving me the time to address you.
Thank you. Anybody else on non-agenda before we move on?
I would like to add to what Randy said. I saw young people, high school students, out doing a good job. It was wonderful to see them out there doing something really constructive rather than wrecking the bathrooms or the roofs of the bathhouse. I was very much impressed by how much effort they put into cleaning things up. And thank you, Randy, for doing that.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Does anybody want any items pulled off the consent calendar? I'm going to pull item number 2. With item number 2 pulled, you have item 1 and 3.
I move that we approve the consent calendar, items 1 and 3, exempt item 2.
Second.
There's a first and second. Voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2, the fee waiver for the police services. I'm just pulling this because I wanted to acknowledge that we have the leaders of the Hmong New Year here this evening, and it's an event that we hold every year in this, or they hold every year in this community, and they do just an amazing job. So I just wanted to personally thank them for bringing that event to our community and allowing us to celebrate your heritage from your past and mixed with your heritage of your present, and I'm just so grateful to know all of you. So with that said, that's all I wanted to say. It is coming up October 12th and 13th, I believe. 14th? 13th, 14th. And it will be at Nelson Field. And if you have not had the privilege of experiencing this event, I highly recommend that you attend because they really, really do an amazing, amazing job pulling that off. So thank you. With that said, looking for a motion on item number 2.
Second.
First and second, voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
Moving on to public hearings, we actually do have a public hearing this evening. It's item number 4, Wyandotte Creek Groundwater Sustainability Agent Joint Powers Agreement. Formation of the Wyandotte Creek Groundwater Sustainability Agency. That's a mouthful. How are you this evening?
Good.
Thank you. You
Mayor
can take the floor.
Okay. Mayor and Council, Mike Massaro, Contract City Engineer. Yeah, this is a, as it stated, Joint Powers Authority. It would allow the city to enter into the Joint Powers Authority agreement with Thermal Water and Sewer District and the Butte County to form a Groundwater Sustainability Agency. The Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which was enacted in 2015, requires that basins and subbasins that are critical or moderate bring forward a groundwater sustainability plan by 2022. So that needs to get done. By entering into the Joint Powers Authority, we'll be able to share resources with the county and Thermal Water and Sewer District to produce this plan, which is required by 2022. And meet the state's mandate. Is there any questions?
I do. I have a question. I have followed this closely over the past 8 years, the groundwater and the GRACE satellites and the depletion of groundwater in our state off and on. 2022 is fairly close in reference to what's really expected of this, but just in your research, do you know how other counties are doing at all? Just a random question. Or when it comes to their, are they forming JPAs? Are they finding ways to deal with their groundwater situation? Just general question.
Yeah, I think they are, and I would say in many areas they're way ahead of this. In the Sacramento area, the Regional Water Authority has been going for years now. And, I think it's a good move for those agencies to take control of their local resources and have a seat at the table for how this is going to be implemented, rather than waiting for the state to come in.
Can you put the microphone a little closer to you?
And rather than waiting for the state to come in and dictate it. There's other groundwater basins, particularly in Southern California and deserts, that are adjudicated basins, and that if there becomes a between agencies, if there becomes conflict over groundwater resources and those agencies become adjudicated, then it's the court that decides how things get managed there, and that can be very, very expensive for those agencies to wait for that type of conflict to arise, because there's a lot of court and lawyer fees and things like that. So I think it's a good process to get out in front of and to form JPAs to manage the resources to meet the need.
So this is going to happen regardless.
Right, right.
And so that clearly the city wants to have a seat at the table. That's basically what it amounts to.
So I'm just, it's the bigger thing about the water in the state is the groundwater, once it's gone and depletes and the ground sinks, there's just not, I mean, we'll be a desert. It doesn't matter what type of water delivery system we have on the surface. So I just wondered how much you knew about like Kern County and stuff and the areas that are.
I think those areas are really driving it more than our local subbasins, but they have subsidence for many, many years, and those are critically impacted groundwater basins.
Right.
Ours is not at that level, but.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or comments before I open this up for public hearing? Council? No? This is a public hearing, and this item is open for public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak on item number 4 on the agenda this evening? Yes.
Good evening, George Barber, California Water Service, District Manager for Chico and Oroville.
I just wanted to jump up and acknowledge the Butte County Water and Resource Conservation staff. They've been carrying the ball on this county-wide. They've done a really, really good job trying to formulate a governance structure that meets everybody's needs. They had a Vina sub-basin meeting with the public, really listened to what they had to say, brought that forward and made adjustments to their proposed governance structure. So just wanted to make a shout out to Butte County staff. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak on item number 4 on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, I'm going to close public hearing. Looking for a motion on item number 4.
I move that we adopt the joint powers agreement with Butte County and the Thermalita Water and Sewer District and authorize the mayor to sign. In addition to that, authorizing the staff to formally rescind the city of Oroville as a GSA in the Wyandotte Creek sub-basin.
I'll second that.
Voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
Now we're on to regular business. Item number 5, amendment to the city engineer's professional service agreement.
The city received a congestion mitigation error management grant. This would authorize our contract engineer to oversee that grant. There are funds available to do that, so we're recommending approval.
Any questions or comments? Looking for a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 8746.
Second.
All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item number 6, and we do have several speakers on item number 6 and several questions. So, Haven of Hope on Wheels. Council may discuss granting funds to the Haven of Hope for the purchase of a hygiene facility, vehicle, and necessary equipment for the Haven of Hope on Wheels project. Chief LeGrone.
Evening, Madam Mayor and Council. This project has been before the council a couple different times. It's a portable hygiene trailer that has showers and laundry facilities in it that will be moved throughout the city to afford people that are unable to get showers and do their basic hygiene anywhere else. This trailer will be available for them. It will be operated by the Haven of Hope Resource Center, which is also the associated with the Oroville Southside Improvement Association. It has been here several times. We've seen pictures of it. The project has been, we went to our bond consultant to ensure that it is legal to spend this bond money on this. We have been assured that we can do that. Mr. Huber's company has, or firm, has generated a contract that stays within the parameters provided by our consultant. So what we're looking for tonight is direction if you want to move forward with that grant.
Okay. I have several questions, but I can open it up to the public, or we can take questions from the dais. Okay, I have speakers. Carol Anderson, Fred Springer, Carol Anderson. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Council and Madam Mayor. I would like to say, first of all, that I adore the city of Oroville. I've lived here 40 years. Even if I'm not technically inside the city limits, this is my community, and I feel strongly about supporting all members of the community. I've worked on that cleanup at the river several years and had a lot of contact with homeless people through that activity. The first year I did the cleanup, there was a homeless woman helping me clean up, carrying bags of trash, but she had to leave before she got the free lunch. because she had a job to go to, but she couldn't afford the amount that it takes to move into an apartment, the first, last, and the security deposit. That's not typical of the people down there, I'm sure. But I'm concerned that the powers that be don't necessarily recognize these people as deserving members of our community. This year, cleaning up, one of the camps that I cleaned up that was not active was clearly occupied by children. There were Matchbox toys, children's clothing. Another one that I cleaned up last year, there's laundry soap in the river there. This is no way for people to be living, and we've got to care for these kids and these people. I know we need the mental health, we need a lot of other things also, but this would be a step forward for those that are able to get cleaned up and go to that job and become part of the communities. This would allow a large part of them to make a step forward. I know it won't address mental health, but it might in the future, because they're going to have facilities and counseling and stuff available through the project that would make it more helpful to those more challenging cases, because I know some of them are really challenging. But anyway, I just hope that you will see fit to grant the money for this as a big step forward. Do what you think is right.
Thank you. Fred Springer. And then Bill Bynum, William Bynum.
Hi, thank you. Actually, I was at the cleanup on Saturday too, and we walked by a couple of camps that were actually really quite clean and neat and everything, and we passed them up, and I was at one of the camps where Carol was just talking about, but I had already cleaned up one camp with a couple of DWR contractors, and then we went over to the other one, and they were really gross, so we literally took everything out of there, everything. And one of the contractors, obviously we all have a conscience, and she kept saying, tell the homeless to call 211 to get help. And I thought that was great, because I looked at that before, but the Haven of Hope on Wheels is something concrete where you can actually point, say you can go here, you can go there, and the place that it's going to maintain the Hope on Wheels is the Resource Center. And I think if at all possible, we could help them too, because then you can actually go send somebody someplace, and they can be evaluated and get some really physical one-on-one FaceTime with people. And so anyway, I just would like to please support this as much as you can, and don't take any money away from it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. William Bynum, and then Dave Garcia.
Okay, thank you. I feel the same way the first two speakers, what they expressed. This is sorely needed. It's been needed a long time. I'm appalled that our government, county, state, city, doesn't do more to help these people in their terrible circumstances. I am frankly disgusted with mental health. I never see them. I don't see how they physically help all these people out in need, and anybody who walks around this city or any cities in Butte County can see that we're in a crisis. We're way past due where we need to be reaching out and doing tangible things to help these people. And so please do whatever you can to further this project. Thanks.
Dave Garcia. And then Larry Hayden.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Basically, California has the highest child poverty rate in the nation. It's something that is not going to go away. and it's something that we need to start getting prepared for. And basically, it's really a health and safety issue. Down in San Diego, they had a hepatitis A outbreak from all the homeless down there, and it ended up costing San Diego several millions of dollars because they actually had to steam clean the streets. Over 20 people died, and there were several hundred people that ended up going to the hospital. And then it spread to Los Angeles, and it spread to Santa Cruz. So, we need to get concerned about the health and safety issue of providing restroom facilities, showers, and the washing machines and dryers that this facility would provide. And, we need to help these people and try to get them back on their feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Larry Hayden, and then Bobby O'Reilly.
Hello, Council. Thank you. My name is Larry Hayden. I am the co-founder and director of the Hope Center. I've been in the trenches for 20 years, dealing with homelessness and all kinds of other things in our community. I've been doing it full-time for 14 years. I don't sit out of it and minister to it. I'm in the muck and mire with these people on a daily basis. A lot of them have become my friends. I've seen a lot of them rise up above their circumstance and move on. I am happy that the council is even considering to help support this effort. Showers are needed. I have one at the Hope Center. Mm-hmm. And it's a big need for all the reasons that were stated. I can't add or subtract from. Now, as far as finances, I have no idea how to pay for it. But I'm here on behalf of the people that would receive the services, and it's much needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby O'Reilly, and then Pastor David Goodson.
Good evening again. I just have a couple of concerns for this issue. First, I would have preferred to see a council member recuse themselves because they have an involvement with this organization that is putting this effort together. So that would have been a positive to see rather than vote on an issue that they have involvement with. Second would be the funding for this thing. I believe when this issue came up with Haven of Hope on Wheels, the last time it was in front of council to ask for something else, they had stated they weren't asking for finances, they were just asking for what it was they were asking for that time. I believe that the funding, if available, could be better used towards more permanent structures, more permanent sustainability. I don't think that it's beneficial for the city to spend the funding that they're asking for to a mobile unit that just on this paper doesn't make sense. So thank you.
Thank you. David Goodson.
Good evening to the council. I'd like to speak in support of the Haven of Hope on Wheels. I believe that it will fill a significant void, that it will help move mental health services to a higher level within our county. Right now, the mental health services are basically located where those that need them most must go to a building to receive them. By having the Haven of Hope on Wheels that provides hygiene and showers and provides meaningful human contact with someone, because I know Pastor Kevin and those that work with him, they have encouraging words for those that are less fortunate. The Haven of Hope on Wheels will be reaching out to those that are less fortunate. This helps raise their self-esteem, and then eventually what will come about is that the county should be providing social workers or mental health workers, those that can meet these clients where they're at. This is a different type of service. When you meet people in a different type of environment, you can begin to encourage them in different types of ways. Individuals that are able to have a shower and shave and wash their clothes will feel better about themselves. I have spoken to many of the people on our streets that are homeless, and they have a story, but they were not always homeless. This may be an opportunity to help boost their morale. Those that are able to get themselves together and find employment is a plus as well. And if we look at it biblically, we should be helping our brothers. We should not be looking down upon them. If we have resources that are available in our society, we need to use those. And this is an opportunity for Oroville to make a difference.
Thank you. Any other speakers before I open it up to the dais?
This lady says she has a minute left on hers and she would like to.
You need to, if you want to use it, come up to the microphone. Thank you.
I was kayaking down the river and I met a homeless gal in a camp, and she was just sitting on the bank crying, and she looked so cute, and she was just a really lovely young lady. She had just gotten out of jail for a failure to appear, and while in jail she had had a shower and she was all cleaned up and she looked quite nice, and we talked about the chances of her getting a job somewhere because I thought she looked very employable. And I saw her about a week later up at Centennial Park, and she stunk so bad I couldn't get close to her. and just that quickly I could see the effects of not having access to hygiene, and I knew she was not employable at that point.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody in the dais want to speak? I do have quite a few questions, so anybody else? All right. Well, I sent an email to Chief Lagrone and Tom today because even though this has been in front of the council, it wasn't necessarily in front of the council to have it granted $175,000 for a trailer and a facility for showers and bathrooms. There's no disagreement about whether or not we need them. But just because it's legal to give this grant doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing and the policy for our council to do. And one of the things that I asked several questions, and I'm going to go through some of the list, but some of the stuff, the word vetting was used, and who vetted this project. And one of the key questions that I had is, where's the operation and maintenance coming from? Who's paying for that expense? One of the emails that I received had the request also for the operation and maintenance of how to run and operate this well over $450,000. And I'm not understanding, because it's legal in a really convoluted way to pay the $175,000 to buy this unit. We cannot use any funds for operation and maintenance. If a door breaks, they have to buy the door. If a hinge breaks, they have to buy the hinge. We can buy the concrete, we can buy the facility the first time, but after that we can't pay for anything else. And just to be clear that this money is not coming out of the general fund. So there is an RDA and successor agency money that can only be used for certain things. And we have to spend it on infrastructure, broadband, and or obviously things like this. My main question, somebody else brought it up here, is we have elected to vote that there is a homeless crisis in our community, and we need to do something. Investing $175,000 in a mobile bathroom and shower unit doesn't put it in a permanent situation. When you heard, it was Larry Hayden that just came up, they have one shower. They would love to have more showers. Why are we not investing $175,000 making permanent showers and permanent laundry facilities? What about the rescue mission? They've been here for 40 years. They've been asking to expand for the women and children's shelter for over 15 years. They work on charitable contributions 100% of the time. If we're going to approve this grant without even vetting the organization, I had to go online and pull this stuff myself. The last tax return that was filed, they had $6,000 in. They have not filed their 2017. I don't know how they're going to maintain and operate, and it hasn't been fully vetted. I don't believe this should be in front of the council at this time until we know all of that. Every grant from Amy's department to the SBF, we ask for this information. And the reality is, if they can't maintain it and they can't operate it, then what happens to it? And then the contract, unfortunately, we just got this morning. It's not Scott's fault. He was asked Friday afternoon, because this is how quickly this all came together. And then as a council, we get criticized for making rash decisions sometimes because we haven't fully vetted the situation. And I don't believe we have enough information in front of us to make this a viable project or a wise decision. But if we are going to invest $175,000 for the restroom and laundry facility, I mean, you read the fine print, the laundry facility is 2 pants and 3 t-shirts. I mean, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But if we're going to invest that kind of money, then I would recommend you give $175,000 to the rescue mission and $175,000 to the Hope Center to do exactly the same type of infrastructure. If you really want to help our community, then let's do it right. But we cannot pay for the operation and maintenance of the Hope on Wheels, and we have not seen any documentation from the organization that says that they can provide it. All I have seen in the emails that were sent to me is that they're also asking for that funding. So I have a lot of concerns. I haven't seen the board of directors. I haven't seen if they have governance or any of that. Hasn't been asked for. So the vetting that was done on this project was, is it legal or not to give them the money? And that is not good enough decision or a good enough conversation for me to make a decision on this. And it shouldn't be in front of the council at this time until we have that information. And I do have other questions, but this is not a question answer time. This is one of those things that I wish we had these answers so we could make a decision with all of it in front of us. I have nothing against Hope on Wheels. I have nothing against the facility, but if we're going to do it right, we need permanent housing, permanent restrooms, permanent showers, and permanent beds for the people. And I have issues with the way the contract was written. We've talked about it. Councilmember Thompson, then Councilmember Draper.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here tonight. I see there's a lot of support for this project, and that's really encouraging to see people step up with a heart to serve our community. I think for the most part, if you follow City Council at all, you already know my position on this. You know that I'm a pastor in the city and that I strongly believe in serving those who are in need, both personally, and I'm a part of an organization that regularly gives to people who are in need, both locally, nationally, and internationally. So this is a burden of mine, and again, it's encouraging to see so many here with T-shirts on, to represent their support for this. So that's great. It's great to see projects like this. I think the one that stands out the most to me is the Dream Center down in LA. I think most people who work with this kind of thing understand or are familiar at least with the Dream Center. They not only provide the services need showers and all that, but also haircuts and encouragement, counseling, and all of that that's available. Locally, we, like mentioned by the mayor, and also we had Larry Hayden, which I highly respect. I also respect Steve Terry, and a lot of other people who do amazing things in our community. We have the Hope Center, we have the Rescue Mission, we have Jordan Crossing, we have Second Step, we have the Father's House, all who are continually serving those who are in need. I asked Steve how many showers he has, and he has 3 for the women and 3 for the men, and separate laundry services both for the men and for the women. So I don't think it's honest to say that the community doesn't have showers available, those people who don't have showers or laundry, because it is available for our community. Currently, from my understanding, in Oroville, we live in a community where you can eat for free pretty much every day of the week at a ministry here in town. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. That is something that I think our community is really, it's not really well acknowledged how much service and is given to those who are in need. I think that's a great thing. I want to read something here when we discuss spending RDA funds. These funds, I think it's interesting in discussing this that our city attorney, because this didn't clearly fit into the category, did have to call and have this, could this possibly fit within this category? So this is not something clearly to where this is obviously fitting in this category. Let me read for you what the RDA actually, the projects you typically are for. Redevelopment agencies breathe new life into specific project areas in need of revitalization, economic development, and new opportunity by building or rehabilitating housing for working families, building and upgrading roads, water systems, other public works, and infrastructure, building and rehabilitating community centers, parks, libraries, public safety buildings, and other community facilities, helping small businesses by revitalizing downtowns and injecting new life and economic activity into older retail and downtown shopping districts, revitalizing rundown or blighted neighborhoods, which can help reduce crime and increase opportunity for struggling families, and beautifying communities through landscaping, improvements of neighborhood streets, and creation of green belts. So this request more falls underneath the blighted category. I understand as the category we're trying to sneak it into there, but we have to also understand that this is taxpayer monies. Although we may say it's not necessarily coming out of the general fund, this is taxpayer money. And when somebody is having a business or working a job and they're paying their taxes, I believe as a taxpayer myself that when I pay my taxes, that the funds are going to a specific things that our community needs, such as roads. We know that our community has, the list I read here as far as the RDA uses, all of those things our community needs. And so when I look at this, and I also understand that currently in the position that our city is in, we're asking for our staff to take a pay cut. We're decreasing services to our community. And at the same time, we are asking the community for a 1% sales tax. I personally think it is sending a mixed message that the same year we're asking for a 1% sales tax, we are giving $175,000 to provide showers for the homeless. I think, to me, that's a mixed message. If I'm a community citizen, which I am, and I see the government throwing $175,000 to shower the homeless, I'm going to say, you know what, you got enough funds, then you guys are fine. If you're not going to fix the streets, you're not going to help out with the areas that I'm paying my taxes for, and you're going to shower the homeless, then obviously you're fine as it is. So personally, like I said, I think it sends a mixed message. I think it is not a correct appropriation of the RDA funds. Again, I think what you're doing is commendable, but I believe that funds like this should come from charity. It's a charity, and charity comes as people give to something. It's in my heart. You all wear the shirts, and so it's obviously something that's in your heart. And I believe that people who have something in their heart also, put their money towards that. We have needs with the Hope Center. It's all volunteer and charitable based. The rescue mission, it's funded by people who want to help that out. The Jordan Crossing is funded by people who want to help that out. Second Step, same thing. The Father's House. So again, and these are all well-established, vetted ministries in town. I just don't believe that it is appropriate for the government, especially at this time, the city of Oroville, to give money in this direction. And so that's why you'll see me tonight vote a no on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Draper, and then I'm in the queue again.
Mr. Lando, what is the total amount of this RDA money that we're talking about? I know it was quite a bit. I just want to be exact.
I don't remember the exact number. Chief, do you remember? Is it?
It's approximately $3.4 million right now.
$3.4 million. Okay. So we are not talking about using the whole amount, okay, for the Haven of Hope on Wheels. We're talking about a small amount. And I see this as a real need in our community. People come down here every 2 weeks, businessmen, citizens, and complain about the people in their doorways or around the town, that they're dirty. They don't have a place to use the restrooms, so they go in inappropriate places. They don't have a way to do their laundry. And Councilman Thompson mentioned the rescue mission has 3 showers for men, 3 showers for women, and the Hope Center has 1 shower. Now, that's commendable, and I'm glad that they have that. But we're talking 1,000 homeless here in Oroville alone. You think 7 showers are sufficient? And so, yeah, that kind of boggles the mind. The other thing is the rescue mission is outside the city limits. So are they eligible for any of this money?
No, they would not be.
They're not. So that is moot. Okay, that shouldn't even be brought up. Although I like the Hope Center, I donate to them occasionally, and I really appreciate Larry Hayden coming up and recommending this project. I think that says volumes. But this is something that's really needed in our community, and it's something that would make a difference for these people. Pastor Thompson was telling us the other day about a woman that he saw leaving Riverbend Park, and he saw her go up on the highway, and later he had to go to Walmart to buy something, and guess who the checker was? The homeless woman that lived at Riverbend. You know, these are not all druggies, and I admit there are people that do not want help, but for crying out loud, this is what we're supposed to be about. We're supposed to be about helping everybody, whether they're wealthy or not. And we should be trying to do something to serve the better good here. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a couple more people in the queue. So a couple of things that were brought up was the showers. And so my question would be, I don't think the rescue mission is a moot point, and I believe that we could spend money on them. And if we're going to exclude them because they're in the county, that's a very interesting comment, because the city of Oroville has 20,000 people in its city limits. If there's 1,000 people that are homeless, the county needs to step up to the plate. So where is the county in all of this? So not to mention, I mean, we were going to, I think we were going to annex Steve Seidenglanz's facilities so we could grow marijuana. Why won't we annex the rescue mission so they could benefit from some of these funds? So it's not about if it's county or city at this point. You were talking about homeless people. It's the same thing. Either we're going to help them all, but even at that, when the Hope Center wanted to do the City Works program, we made them jump through hoops every single month to prove where they were spending $10 an hour on how many people and where they lived now and did you get them off the streets. We're not requiring the same of this entity. And that's not right. And you just don't give $175,000 of a machine with there's no operating budget. And if you have it, I need to see it. And right now the budget in front of me says it's going to cost $24,000 a month to run that truck with 4 bathrooms and 4 washer and dryers. Is there 4? 4 washer and dryers. $24,000 a month. That's a big nut. And there's nothing that shows in front of us that money is available to make that happen. And if it isn't, who's supposed to be paying for it? I mean, I have my list goes on and on. Where's the water coming from? Who's going to be paying the dumping fees? Where's it going to be parked? And it says in the contract that they're going to provide services for laundry and shower facilities, job training, health care, and health education to the underserved population in the downtown area of City of Oroville. Have the downtown businesses had any discussion? Have you discussed any of this? And it's like, if you're going to be parking this downtown, where? You're going to talk about locations. These are answers we just don't have. And you might get my vote if I had those answers. So, Vice Mayor Goodson and Councilmember Del Rosario.
Thank you. So in regards to milestone reports, it states in the item 5, OSCIA agrees to report back to the Oroville City Council on a biannual basis the number of persons served and the type of services provided. I also wanted to point out that I know that this money is specifically earmarked for appropriate projects, and this project does fall under in those parameters. This money also cannot be used for, I believe it was stated earlier, traffic. This money cannot be used for traffic improvements. It cannot be used for public safety needs or to stop the budget deficit bleeding. So let me move on to I have 2 questions. One, I had spoken to Scott earlier in regards to the verbiage that is used. It's been used twice in the downtown area of the City of Oroville, and I needed some clarification on that. Mr. Huber, I would like you to weigh in on that, and after you, I would like for the chief to address. Chief, could you please, or Mr. Lando, could you please address the operation and the maintenance concern and what those statistics look like? Thank you.
Sure, I'll be happy to answer the question. It is the question that was posed was related to the downtown, oh, come on, I'm looking for the paragraph.
It's the language used in item 1.
Item number
on
1
the back page.
In the downtown area of the City of Oroville. The bond proceeds or the excess bond proceeds, which were originally redevelopment bonds that were issued, redevelopment agencies were eliminated. So now the excess bond proceeds can be used by the city for the original purpose of the bonds, for whatever the bonds were passed. The redevelopment bonds were really applicable to predominantly the downtown area of Oroville, but it was the redevelopment area. Mm-hmm. Provided these services will need to, the services that the truck and the trailer, for lack of a better term, for those vehicles or for those items, those will need to be somehow provided to the homeless individuals in the downtown area. That does not mean the services will need to be provided exclusively to them, but they must service the homeless in the downtown area. I will say this quite candidly: if you have a schedule that you've posted, I suspect that the homeless individuals in the downtown area, if I can just use that term, and I don't mean any slight by that, they will, when they determine that they need those services, they'll find you wherever you're located. They'll get to you one way or another. So in talking with bond counsel about this and in conferring with some of my colleagues who are in the redevelopment or former redevelopment agency realm, this does meet those needs. And it is a creative way to meet the needs. It's not your traditional, what I'll call bread and butter way to spend the excess bond proceeds. But it is one that meets those needs.
Thank you. Chief? Or would that be Mr. Lando?
This might fall into this category as don't ask a question unless you know the answer. I would honestly suggest that as a condition of this, should council approve it, that we request an operational plan. I think that makes good financial sense.
Councilmember Del Rosario.
Oh, am I on or not?
You're on.
Okay. When Councilmember Thompson was reading, I just two things just jumped out at me. One was that we're having to cut wages. Unfortunately, this is a grant, and we can't use it to pay wages to our employees. And the other thing that he mentioned was landscaping. Certainly our homeless are more important than our landscaping. Certainly these human beings deserve this kind of help. Also, this is a mobile unit. This means that it can go to the camp. It can go where they're living. Also, they have a resource center, and that resource center will provide services. I myself have agreed to help them with resumes. It's something that I can do. And there are other people in the community who will be kicking in help. This is something we really need. It's really hard when you're living on the street and you can't get a bath. You feel disgusted with yourself when you aren't clean. And these people need this desperately, and our town needs it desperately. As Councilman Draper says, we have 1,000 people out there that are not living in houses, and some of them are working. We need to do this. We really do.
Are you still in the queue?
I put myself back in the queue. I would like to ask Pastor Kevin if he could step up to the microphone and give us a brief synopsis of the terms of a maintenance and operation with sustainability built in.
Okay, first of all, I just want to thank you for giving me this time and space. And we're talking about the sustainability and being vetted. I want to let you know that Butte County, the Board of Supervisors, vetted us probably more than you would. They thought enough of our nonprofit, the Oroville Southside Community Improvement Association, to vote unanimously to award the Oroville Southside Community Center, a $7 million building, over 30,000 square feet, as the management team to undergird and overtake that. It was in deep red, really losing money when we stepped in and took over. Now we have completely turned it around, and we're looking rather nicely in the black. So we're doing really well there. We're also in a position, and Councilwoman Del Rosario brought it up. Not only do we anticipate bringing a mobile unit, and that's actually outfitted with 4 toilets, 4 showers, 1 handicap accessible, able to service those that might be wheelchair impaired, 4 stackable washers and dryers. So while individuals are taking a shower, they will be able to wash their clothes as well. It's just the most basic right that every human being have, and that is to be clean, to be able to take a shower. And this is simply what we're offering. It's a need that's not being met in our community. What we propose to do is undergird and take on this endeavor to do the heavy lifting. We desire to make you shine. We want to see the city of Oroville being the poster child. You voted to trust us with your city seal. You voted here on the dais here to okay us. You give us that much authority is to represent you everywhere we go now. So we don't want this to be a stumbling block now when we desire to offer services to the most vulnerable population in our communities. Ms. Draper brought up, and my boss is actually in Mr. Murphy, and I'm a contractor with the Feather River Recreation and Park District. And I got several of my employees that's in here as well. And we deal with the homeless people 365 days a year in our parks and in this downtown area. When you go home and sleep at night, you got individuals sleeping on your front door here. They're across the street at the old auto dealership. They're all around. And we're not coming in to try to fleece the city out of money. We coming in to help undergird you. We want to join with you. We want to coagulate our efforts together to make our community better and leave it better than what we found it. And simply, we're talking about the monies that we're anticipating. What we're asking is $175,000, and that is just simply a capital expense, a one-time expense to purchase not just a trailer, but also 1-ton diesel, turbo diesel, crew cab to transport our employees from one place to another. So the 175 is not just for the trailer, but it's also for the truck to pull the trailer as well. The truck have to be outfitted. There's a 600-gallon water tank that sits on the back that has to be retrofitted to fit the bed of the truck. It has to be level and even when we're driving down or navigating a hill, that we won't have mechanical issues. The operational expense for the Haven of Hope on Wheels is roughly $148,000. That's if we were to pay all the individuals that would come in and be employed. We wouldn't pay anyone under $15 an hour, but these were numbers. If we had to pay the salaries, this is what it was cost. But we got volunteers. I have staff at the Southside Community Center that we're going to volunteer those hours at the Haven of Hope Resource Center. Those that know, we actually purchased, we're not renting, we purchased the old Roberts Drug Store. It's a 4,000 square foot building right on Myers in the city. We're renovating it right now to open it up as a resource center to help serve our community. Almost, it's a desperate need out there. Mm-hmm. We deal with it every day. And I would encourage you, and especially I've heard on the dais, is that some people benefited from services like this. And we as leaders, especially those in the ministry, that was our charge. If they don't have clothes, you clothe them. If they need something to drink, give them something to drink. But what I'm hearing is that we can care less about what the Father says and what He has taught us. And we're leaning to our own understanding. And we know if we lean that for too long, we will make a shipwreck. So what we're just saying is just have a heart of compassion. Because if many in this room, if you miss 3 paychecks, it's a good chance you'll be right out there needing this service as well. So don't close up your bowels of compassion tonight. Don't let a few dollars, it's not a few, don't get me wrong, but don't let an opportunity pass us by. We're in a position, we have people to help. What you're talking about, how are we going to fund this? We're going to use volunteers. in most of the cases versus paid employees. So that $148,000 is pretty much going to disappear. Well, yeah, we do have, we roughly over $50,000 for our first year of operational costs, which we can prove. So we're not coming here with our hands out. We just ask that you extend your hand full of mercy on your own community. This is your community. This is my community. And we want to be the best servants that we can possibly be. Thank you.
Since you're up here, I'd like to ask you some more questions, if you don't mind.
No. Really.
So you mentioned that you're going to, because the financial projection that we have in front of us, so to make it clear, you have a fleet manager, a case manager, a driver, and an intake specialist. Mm-hmm. For almost $119,000 a year. That you're going to use volunteers for that?
Some of it, yeah, we can use volunteers. We actually have one of my employees in here that's college educated. That's our on-site manager that managed the Southside Community Center. Would be the one that would be moved down to that facility. Pretty much we have the Southside Community Center at a place to where it can pretty much be operated, with minimum supervision. Also, the volunteers will come in, and the people in here, I won't do it, but if I ask them how many of them have already volunteered, everyone in here, especially those that are wearing green shirts or blue shirts, will raise their hand. Even on the dais, individuals have agreed to come in and volunteer. And it's just not about giving a person a shower and getting them clean. We're looking for sustainability as far as their life. What are they going to do when they get cleaned up? Okay, now they're in a position to hail a cab or to get on public transportation and go seek out that job interview, able to go to that doctor, and that doctor is going to diagnose that colon cancer had they not have an opportunity to get cleaned up, because they feel ostracized right now. They don't feel like we are all equal to them. But I tell you, all you have to do is go to sleep. And each one of us, when we go to sleep, even though we're adults, we're equal to the baby.
So I'm trying to get through some of the opportunity that I can uncover here for your benefit. So give me a minute.
You bet.
Equipment and operation expenses. It's $30,000. Do you have, and respectfully, you said the county had vetted you, but we're the city, and we don't have all the paperwork the county. And the other thing is you mentioned that the county vetted the resource center, but it's not to run the community center?
Yeah, no, they actually vetted the community center, their property, their $6 million property, $7 million property.
But what entity of yours did they vet?
Our nonprofit, the Oroville Southside Community Improvement Association. Okay. That is our nonprofit. The Haven of Hope on Wheels and the Haven of Hope Resource Center is just an extension of the Southside Community Center. So
not being able to find any financial records, what's your financial status now, and do you have the operation and maintenance income in your account and showing on your tax returns that you actually have the money to maintain this?
Yeah, I think we do, yes.
Can you provide that to the city?
We can.
Okay. And the last tax returns that you filed were 2016. Did you file 2017?
We did, yeah. I'll make that available for you.
Okay. Couple other questions then while you're here. Do you have a board of directors?
Yes, we do. We have a board of 8 directors.
Can you name them for me?
Yes, Malik McDaniels, Carol Payne, Deborah Thompson, Eunice Wallace.
Do you have that available in print anywhere? I'm just...
One moment. Sue Vang. Help me out. Okay, I'll get that for you too. It's just slipping me right now.
Locations and where you're where are you going to park it? Where's it going to be? A home base?
No, it won't. It'll be at the resource center. If you take time to drive around the back of the old Roberts Drug, you see there's a parking space just for the unit and trailer itself.
Okay. And so the locations do you have locations picked out yet?
We don't. We have, and you all have pretty much a calendar, and it's a mock calendar, and those locations will be fully vetted as well. And let me kind of explain to you the process. We don't just show up at the doorstep of business. We won't impede upon any business and them, making a living. We won't do that. We're going to go to places that's out of the way. We're going to go to places that would have homeless people, in great numbers. And there's places other than downtown Oroville and the business association. Okay.
I have more, but I don't really want to take up the time right now. But the other, I think it's been made clear a couple of times, and I want the attorney to weigh in on this. I actually spoke to the attorney firm myself today because unfortunately this contract just came through. There's some of the verbiage in the contract that I would like to actually ask a question about, but you are aware that none of this money can be used for operation and maintenance.
We totally understand.
Nor can SBF funds be used for operation and maintenance.
Well, I guess we'll talk about SBF funds when we are in that setting.
Yeah, well, because the city is part of that, and I sit on that committee, I'm just making sure that everybody is aware that operation and maintenance is not one thing that can be funded. So are you expecting to get any other funds from the city to maintain this?
From the city, I'm not sure.
For the SBF, are you looking to the SBF?
We're in the application process. We plan to apply. Yes.
For funds to buy the truck?
No.
For
other services that we
for the
provide.
Operation and maintenance for this project?
No. It's other things that we have that we're still in the process of putting our proposal and ideas together.
Okay. All right. If you could provide the board of directors, you look like you had some paperwork there. Maybe somebody could make a copy that.
And yeah, it won't be here. You have to get that tomorrow morning. This is something totally different.
Okay. All right. I did have a question about the truck here too. The quote, once again, it was just up here tonight. The quote comes to exactly $175,000. Is there a breakdown that we could get for that?
You can. We can get that information to you as well.
And the contract. So the contract states, and I'm going to read part of the contract. It says, OSCIA shall contract for the purchase of a vehicle, trailer, and or facility to provide laundry and shower facilities, job training, health care, health education to the underserved. I want to go back to the vehicle, trailer, and or facility necessary to provide. Do you have any plans to buy an additional facility with this money?
We have a facility already. Let me explain to you what's going on with even with the continuum of care and other organizations. What we're doing is that we have an information gathering and sharing system that we're going to be using for the Haven of Hope on Wheels and the Haven of Hope Resource Center, where we're going to be working with Mr. Terry, with the Mission and Larry and others, and we're going to begin to do something that's not being done in our community. So when we service an individual, first come, first serve to the trailer to get a shower, to get their clothes clean. Before they can even get there, there's going to be an information gathering that's going to take place. In other words, we're going to have roughly 12 questions that we will ask them. Obviously their name and, their age, how long they've been homeless, and when was their last doctor's appointment, and so on and so forth. All this information that we're going to gather. Then we're going to ask them, what services do they need? And when we say facility, we have the Southside Community, the Haven of Hope Resource Center that's going to be available on Meyer Street. We can direct them to that facility. So that's where the job training and preparedness is going to come into play. Now, Mr. Roger Sedone from Sedone Construction has already agreed to be one of the service providers to come in and do training. He shared with me that none of his jobs start off less than $18 an hour for individuals that will work. He just have a problem getting them to come back the second and third and fourth day. This is where we step in, where we undergird and tutor them and encourage them and call them and let you know we'll be by to pick you up. Do you need a ride to get to work? Do you have the tools? Do you have your boots? Are you prepared to go? Do you have your lunch prepared? So this is a mentoring program that's not really active, you know, from the intake process to getting them sustainable income for one, that they might be able to pay a mortgage or pay a rent, or even the most important thing is a car note, so they can get back and forth to work. So this is where we're going to step in at, and we have other community members that have already showed a desire to step in with us, that we make a change in our community as far as the homeless population.
Okay, so with that said, I think that's all my questions. If anybody else has any questions for Kevin, since we're asking questions.
I have a question, and I've heard you say this before, but I think you can be more detailed about it. And how do you get rid of the water from the showers and the washer and so on? Where does that take place?
You know, the best case scenario for us is that once we get through at our 4-hour sessions, we plan to have 2 sessions per day at 2 different locations, 4 hours. It is our prayer that on that facility that we choose to serve, or where we have been given directives or directions to go to, that they would have a clean out valve there. But if not, we actually have already been given the okay, Mr. Bar, is to dump at the casino. And we also have a dumping station at our facility on Meyer Street. Okay. But we don't want to really drive around with a full waste tank. We're going to have a 600-gallon fresh water tank for the showers and washers and dryers. And there would be a 300-gallon recovery tank that would have the black water and the gray water together.
Okay, thank you.
You also have SCORE.
SCORE as well. We met with SCORE, and they're excited. And they didn't have a facility at the time, but now they say because they're so bought into this program that they're going to build a facility just to dump. So we're grateful for that.
Well, now I think it's really because they're having to expand their plant, but that was a good way to put that.
Yeah, I don't know what that's just the language that I've got.
Okay. That's my end of my questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Huber, based on that conversation, the on the contract, because it says, it refers to they can do what it says in item number 1. It says purchase the vehicle, trailer, and or facility necessary to provide laundry and shower facilities. You and I had a conversation today, and you said it was only for the truck and trailer. That's not what this says.
That's correct. And the reason why is when I conferred with bond counsel, this is the language that came in her email. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to match the language from her email. If they're not going to buy a facility, we can scratch the word facility. That's just fine. That's not a problem.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? I still don't believe I have all the information that I need in front of me to make the decision. So just hearing about it doesn't make it real, unfortunately. Anybody care to make a motion? Or we can hold off until we have the information in front of us and can make a better prepared decision.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve this pending receiving the operational plan and a revised contract that would reflect the correct verbiage that was mentioned.
Second that.
I'm also in agreement. I had just written approve with the necessary items that have been requested and line out on item 1, the line out facility. and see what that looks like for the next reading.
Well, you're approving it. You're approving it. That was the second?
That was this.
Marlene was the second.
I seconded.
So, okay. So there's a first and second with those changes?
Can I clarify the motion before we go all the way
I
through?
would like to do that also.
Because I want to make sure that they know what information that is being asked of them to be provided, because I know you had made a comment as well. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
And then I also heard, Vice Mayor, that you said come back.
Yeah,
So-
and that's when you said,
That-
as I said, you
The
can't to
second
come
was
back.
already.
It was seconded already.
It was already seconded.
Okay.
Marlene did.
All right, thank you.
You mentioned like a second.
Do you want me to repeat the motion?
Well, I just want to make sure that they know exactly what information you would like them to provide.
As I said, that pending a complete operational plan and a revised contract that reflects the revisions that were suggested. Okay.
And so the complete operational plan would include some of the questions that I asked today: operation, dumping, locations. I would like those, even though some of it was verbal here, it would be great if it were in writing.
And so that would be inclusive of the list of the board of directors,
Mhm.
operation and maintenance plan. And I just have to reiterate, line out facility.
Yes.
Purchase a facility.
That's one that we'll take care of.
Okay.
That's an easy one for us to take care of.
So Madam Mayor, just to clarify, we want an operational plan regarding the financial operations and also the logistical operations that were brought up. Okay.
It's an
Thank you.
entire operation. How do you plan on making it work? How are you going to finance it?
Correct.
The tax returns, the financial budget. I mean, we asked that. I want to know that they're going to be able to maintain this.
Sustainability.
Mm-hmm. And a list of the board of directors.
We included that.
Okay.
Now we're reiterating.
Right. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item number 7, council etiquette and rules. Here we go again. Who's got this topic?
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight was something that was requested by a couple of, excuse me, I'll wait.
He's waiting.
Well, you could sing or do some karaoke or something while we're waiting.
I almost
Don't
started
tempt
singing.
him.
Baby shark, baby shark. Oh my God. I just spent like a week with my grandkids in Las Vegas. Baby shark, shark, shark. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
I was watching it this morning by myself when they were gone. It was pretty cute, actually.
Okay, Madam Mayor, the item before you this evening to consider was asked to be placed before you by a couple of council people. They were asked to have a discussion amongst the council to create some rules of decorum and etiquette amongst yourselves. That would be for you. One of the specific things that they have asked for is the inclusion of the meeting attendance onto the agenda. What I have before you is just a mock-up. This is not anything that we're going to do without direction. This was just an example of what could be provided, or we could attach an Excel spreadsheet. However the council would like to do that. This is just an example. So this is a discussion amongst the council. Staff really plays no role in this. We're just waiting for direction.
And who would be doing the Excel spreadsheet if it just seems like?
It's an Excel spreadsheet that's kept by the clerk's office.
Yeah. And the purpose?
The clerk keeps it for
I'm
attendance purposes.
just
I'm not
the
sure why the
purpose
clerk keeps it.
of who's here and who's not.
This was a request by the council. You would have to,
Yeah.
the council would have to clarify that for you, Madam Mayor.
I'm good.
I'd like to make a comment when it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things I like about this is that it's transparent, which we want in government, and it also shows the level of commitment and accountability of council members. So I think it's a really good idea to do that.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's plain that you're making reference to myself and Scott, and unfortunately, Jack's now gone on vacation too. But I think petty, unfortunately. So, and it's just another assignment for somebody in staff to have to take on the responsibility to keep a tally mark of look who the good student is and look who's the bad student for the week or the day.
They already do that. They keep a tally. I've checked on it before, but it's just not made public. And I think it would be a good idea for the public to be aware.
Well, if we're going to go to that extent, then let's go ahead and put the excuse next to it.
That would probably be time consuming, you know.
Well,
like I was gone in June, and so I need to put that I was in Denmark.
On vacation?
Well, whatever.
No,
I mean, I don't see that we have to delineate the reasons. I think the absences speak for themselves. Some people on the council in the last 20 months have missed 14 times. Art Hatley and Janet have missed 0. So I just think it kind of indicates a level of commitment. Does anybody else on here have an opinion? If not, I guess we can just forget it. If it's irrelevant.
Bobby O'Reilly.
Thank you. I'm not going to take 3 minutes, so you don't have to start the timer. I would just like to point out that this has absolutely nothing to do with etiquette and rules and decorum, and it actually is going exactly against etiquette and rules. As a citizen who has interest in being a part of a council, I have done research that I could possibly do, and as a matter of fact, I do believe in my research it showed that there is absolutely no rules stating that you even have to attend a council meeting to be a council member. So I see absolutely no reason to have to list how many times you've been here, how many times you haven't, nor do you have any obligation to sit on any other committees or boards or anything else for that matter. Not saying that you shouldn't, not saying you shouldn't be at council meetings, but it's very important to realize and understand that people also have lives too, and there are 2 council meetings every month almost, except for the exception like I believe it was last month or the month before we had 1. So people do have lives. As somebody that is as young as I who has interest in being a part of council, who has 5 children, a full-time job, I take care of a lot of other things. There may be some times that some people have to miss. So you wouldn't want to feel any less of a person for not being able to show up to a council meeting because your fellow council members might think less of you.
Councilmember Del Rosario?
I don't think this has anything to do with how we feel about other council members. I think it's just a method of informing the citizenry of the attendance of meetings. I certainly hope that anyone who plans on being on the council will commit themselves to being at as many of the meetings as possible. It's just another method of letting citizenry know what's happening. That's all it is.
I think it's petty, but it's just one more thing for the staff to do. We're all committed, and we're all committed in our own ways, and we don't serve in this office to have people just say, "Oh, look, they missed a meeting," and yeah. So,
I just have a question for Mr. Lando. Are there? I don't know why. I just felt that there's guidelines for those who have been voted in to be responsible and accountable. And so my question is, because I had just heard Mr. O'Reilly say that there's nothing mandated that says that you have to attend committee meetings or city council?
That is my understanding as I've read through the information. I don't know if Scott has different information. I don't see anything in the charter that says
that it's
committees are not mandatory, and you do have to attend one council meeting a month.
Okay.
But that's it. And some of us sit on more committees than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna talk about if we attended here, then let's just make a list of all the committees we all serve on and how many hours we spend driving back and forth to those and how long we sit on those committees. And
I don't believe there's any recourse, Mayor. And again, I'd turn to Scott. If you don't do that, however, I understand what you're saying in terms of one per month, but
yeah.
But I think what is mandated is
one meeting.
You cannot miss 3 consecutive meetings. Am I correct?
You are partially correct. That is correct for special districts.
Mm-hmm.
The term is a little bit different for city council members, and I will tell you very candidly, I don't know why the legislature has made a different standard for special districts versus city council members, but if you miss 3 meetings in a row or 6 weeks in a row, if you are out of state
Mm-hmm.
for longer than 45 days, and let me just read this. This is straight out of Government Code, Section 1770. The office is declared vacant upon subsection F, his or her absence from the state without the permission required by law beyond the period allowed by law. Now, the period allowed by law, I know, is 45 days. I will freely admit to you, I have never looked up without the permission required by law. I don't know what permission that is, but I'd have to look that up. But
right.
I know that 45 days outside of the state vacates the office.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways to extend that if you get permission to be outside of the state. And I've never had to look up what permission is required.
And who gives that permission? Okay.
Yeah, I've never had to look it up. So my quick research here didn't indicate where I would find it, so I'd have to go look.
Okay.
Can we move on? Anybody want to make a motion on this?
This requires a motion.
I thought it was just a discussion. It's just a discussion.
Council announcements and further agenda items, future agenda items. Anybody?
Last week I did attend the League of California Cities conference. It was, and I want to read the mission statement, which is to expand and protect local control for cities through education and advocacy to enhance the quality of life for all Californians. And there was approximately 60 plus workshops on As a matter of fact, I believe, Sherry, you had mentioned something about the CCA, and that was the first one that I attended. I also attended a workshop diagnosing your city's financial health. What I thought was most interesting is the speaker identified several key ingredients that are instrumental in a city that is facing insolvency: generous employee compensation packages that are not sustainable, balancing a budget with one-time monies, binding arbitration for bargaining units, training key personnel with an inability to be able to retain those employees, and a fear and denial of council members to not make those tough decisions. And I think at the end of that, there was a general atmosphere of the wow factor. I also attended a workshop. It was titled Day One Leadership. And some of the key points that I took away was counselors need a quote-unquote modern mindset in order to get a 21st century result. The sky is not the limit if you want to be an astronaut. Cannot live in the world of yesterday if you want to move forward into the future. And this one I really enjoyed. Take the fear out of your decision-making power and bring your surfboard because you're about to catch a wave. That was a very exciting, inspirational talk. They did have quite a few workshops on solving the homeless crisis, and the biggest opposition is in affordable housing is a city that says, not in my backyard mindset. There is funding available, but what is necessary is that council members have to make hard decisions. They have to weigh in objectively, and their decision must be inclusive and benefit all people. Not everyone that is homeless wants to remain that way. We also, the last day, which was last Friday, there were 2 resolutions that were recommended by a number of policy committees, and they were approved by the voting delegates, of which I was representing the city of Oroville. And the first resolution that was approved was to assess the increasing vulnerabilities to local control and revenue and explore a ballot measure and or a constitutional amendment that would give the state voters an opportunity to strengthen their local authority and preserve the role of local democracy to preserve their local quality of life. Simply put, let me put that in simplistic form. This resolution would give local communities the ability to govern themselves without micromanagement from the state or have their authority undermined by deep-pocketed and powerful interests and corporations. And I'm going to end with the second resolution that it has to do with the repealing of the code that prevents local governments from regulating pesticides. So how does this affect us? The resolution is encouraging cities throughout California to eliminate the use of anticoagulants as part of their maintenance program. So this affects our parks, our lands, and facilities that are city-owned. And it also encourages property owners throughout California to eliminate the use of these anticoagulants on their properties. Now, the reason being is because these poisons cause painful internal bleeding in pets and non-targeted animals that accidentally ingest the products. So I just wanted to share that information with you. The conference was well attended. From each California city was represented. Thank you.
Linda Draper.
I attended the Continuum of Care brainstorming meeting on Friday for 2 hours to come up with ideas for the new state funding called HEAP. And Annie Terry was there, and Kevin Thompson, about a dozen people from the community. And then yesterday I attended the Continuum of Care meeting in Chico. And one of the things that was suggested is that it might be advisable for us to form an ad hoc committee in order to come up with ideas and priorities so that we make good use of this one-time money. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to mention the fireman's breakfast that was the night. Councilwoman Goodson and I attended that, and Mr. Pittman gave a wonderful talk on the history of firemen. I had never heard it before, and it was very interesting.
Thank you for reminding me. Councilwoman Del Rosario, I was asked to be one of the keynote speakers and at the firefighters fundraiser, and really enjoyed that.
Okay, anybody else? Scott got married.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations.
Sorry I was absent. I was on the beach in Mexico, and it was really difficult, so my apologies.
We could have met down there.
Right? You could have called in. We could have posted.
Sorry.
All right. Adjourn this meeting.
Madam Mayor, could we get clarity first? The suggestion of an ad hoc committee was put out there. If we're going to do this, we need to get moving on this project, because this is due in October, I believe the middle of October, so that gives us a little over 2 weeks, 3 weeks once we formulate our plan. So if we're going to do this, we need to have the people that are going to be on it so we know who to work with.
So they don't need to be all council members, right? Linda mentioned something,
but
Annie, Terry.
No, it probably needs to be council members. This is going to be policy for the city and the direction that the city's going to be going.
I volunteer to serve on it.
I'd be happy to serve on it.
I as well.
You know what?
I as well.
I think there should be some division between you guys. All sit on the same committees when it comes to that may be a different voice or a different.
We don't sit on the same committees. I don't sit on committees with Councilwoman Draper or Goodson.
The continuum of care.
I don't serve on the continuum of care.
But I was going to say, thank you very much. The person that sits on continuum of care should be on there. And then possibly Scott, if he's available. And I was thinking somebody that works in it like Annie or Steve, even though it's a policy making, that it might be good to have input from.
The reason why I'm reluctant to have anybody other than staff or council is because the people that you're suggesting that would be involved may be the recipients of that money as we pass it through. So it's probably better to keep them one step removed. Bring them in, but we need to just make sure that we don't get ourselves into a situation by including them in a place that they shouldn't be.
So Sherry Bunker? No?
How many council people
Art?
were you thinking about?
I think Art would be great.
Come on, Art.
No more than 3.
No more than right.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that we have different people sitting on it.
That's good. Yeah.
Just
I nominate Art and
Linda.
I'll do it.
And Scott.
Okay.
So who is on the committee? Sherry Bunker?
No,
Scott,
I don't think. I think that's we nixed Sherry.
Scott, Art,
Unfortunately.
and I. I'm not included?
No.
And if they need any outside,
3 city council people.
if they need any outside, for me, it's like getting some of their input on what they're missing and what they're needing, and that would be my recommendation, is that, you know, that you talk to them first. The Rescue Mission, Hope Center, Kevin Thompson, fathers, you know, the people that are actually in the trenches every day, ask them before we meet. In other words, get them, the locals, together and ask them without saying they're going to be the recipient, but just gather some information from locally, which I know you do all the time, but sometimes it's harder in the big continuum of care meetings.
And it was done Friday at that brainstorming meeting that those people that you mentioned were in attendance.
Is your microphone on?
That was mentioned Friday. They spent 2 hours brainstorming and making a list of priorities for Jennifer Griggs from the Continuum of Care. And so Annie Terry, Larry Hayden, Kevin Thompson, and
okay.
Oh, and Sherry Bunker was also there. But I was thinking of people representing groups.
Yeah.
Sherry.
So,
okay, so it's already been done. So it's already been done.
Okay.
Yeah, they have. Right. They spent.
Unless.
I was just going to suggest sending a letter out to the groups and giving them a short time frame and saying,
right.
you have ideas, submit them.
And if they felt like they, or even exactly, asking them, did they think they missed anything from that Friday meeting because now the council's meeting, I think that's a perfect idea.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did we want a secondary council person in the event? One of the three were not able to show.
Because no, that makes 4 then.
No. I'm saying
4 people
in the
would
absent.
know.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 or 3.
All right.
Okay.
Mayor, can I also, just a quick update, please?
Yeah.
The community choice aggregation, which was mentioned earlier, you had a presentation on it. There is a feasibility study which has been done. It's going to be presented to the county, I believe, their first meeting in October. The city of Chico, I think, their second meeting in October. And the reason that's important is those two entities represent 80% of the power. They both need to join for it to be feasible. If that happens, we would then come to the city council, and see if you wanted to participate. Right now, for the first 2 years, they're estimating conservatively a 2% energy savings for those who choose to participate. It's not mandatory. After that, it goes to 5 to 9% after the formation costs are formed. There are 18 in the state right now. They are all operating effectively and in a positive way for the community. But that's what's happening now, and it would come to you later if the two large entities agree. Otherwise, it's not feasible.
And that's for resident and commercial?
Yes, it's for all power use, period.
Okay.
And it is a voluntary thing. If you decide to stay with PG&E, you can.
And so in the event that a city wants to bow out, they would have to go through the CPUC?
I don't believe the city would be able to bow out. Individual consumers can bow out, and the city itself can say, we don't want your power. But once you're part of this aggregate, you're part of the aggregate.
And so PG&E would be the distribution?
PG&E remains
conduit.
the distribution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I just do one more thing real quickly? I promise. I just want to recognize Ruth and for her certificate of achievement for the 22nd year of in excellence for the completing our CAFR. So it's a pretty good thing she got from the GOFA, and we're just proud of Ruth.
Good job. Good job, Ruth. Anybody else? Anybody? This meeting is adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting is October. Wait. We still have a successor agency meeting after this. I mean, you all can stay. We got to stay.
You don't have to.
This meeting is adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting for the City Council is October 2nd, 2018. We'll now convene the successor agency meeting. Item number 8, Rosenau Spivak RSG Group Agreement for Disclosure and Dissemination Agents Service. Any questions or comments on item number 8?
The one I have one.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm Rick Farley, the RDA coordinator for the city.
Mayor.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
This item shouldn't take more than 45 minutes.
Stop.
No, I just, under fees, quote, and staffing. Fees, quote, and staffing on this agreement. Down at the bottom it says reimbursable expenses, cost plus 10%. I know what cost plus is. I mean, you know, it's been around forever, but I just haven't noted before in any agreement that we've had a cost plus 10%. Why is that in there?
It's just their overhead for doing it. I review all their bills, and typically I don't see them doing that, but it is in their contract. But they're generally pretty conservative on what they charge for. They've been our consultant for the whole entire 12 years I've worked for the city, but I think sometimes it just covers some additional overhead. But you're right there.
Okay, that was a question I had.
It's a good question, but I do review the bills, and I don't, you know, sometimes when you have consultants, they get the feeling they might possibly be padding a little bit, and I've never seen that in their billings. They also do our housing redevelopment agency support also. But
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is in the redevelopment property tax fund, trust fund, currently? Just ballpark.
I don't have the total because that's over the county auditor controller's office. We get, what was our last payment, Ruth? We get 2 payments a year. What, June and December or January?
It's either 1.8 or it's 3 million. I can't remember if it's 2 payments or if that's the total, but these items have already been budgeted all the way out to 2031. They're in our
right.
And so we get a percentage of whatever it takes to cover the bills. So the county, the trust fund includes the other cities that had RDAs also.
Okay.
So it's, we don't really get a report. In the ROPS, all we know is how much is available to pay.
The percentage.
The percentage on the bonds. We were getting the $250,000 a year until July 1 for admin costs. Now we're only getting about $7,000. $5,000, and most of that's going to pay this and the other admin expenses that we incur. So it's much less than obviously about $250,000 less than it used to be.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Looking for a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 1802.
I'll second that.
All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
Motion carries.
This meeting is adjourned. The next regularly scheduled, Oroville City Council meeting will be on October 2nd. I already said that. Successor agency meetings. Thank you.
Just as an aside, I might add the first county oversight board meeting will be next Monday. We no longer have